right, welcome back again to the Grit.org YouTube channel. I'm still here at Principal Financial to talk to another person here in the office, Paul Groeshel-Johnson. Paul.
Pleasure.
Thanks for being here today. So Paul and I met a couple weeks ago at a Jack's Chamber event. Just hit it off, got talking about business, life, and he's really the one who helped coordinate this with Jacob as well. So Paul, thanks for having me in today. Again, really excited to jump into this. Let's go ahead and just take it back again. Let's start where the career kicked off for you. What led you to wanting to go into this field and start in this industry?
Well, it started when I was very little. For one, business was big because my grandfather was a big inspiration for me. He was a big business owner, owned movie theaters, breweries, things of that nature, and he was also a big investor. And he showed my mom how to invest in stocks. And at a young age, I would look at their portfolios. They would tell me about how it worked. Like, oh, this is owning Coca-Cola, or we own Microsoft, and I thought it was so cool, being able to go to the store and get a Coca-Cola, feeling like I was part of a business owner. I'm an owner of this company that's so large that everybody knows about it, which piqued my interest right off the bat. And from there on, from a young age, I just did a lot of self-education on it and try to learn more about why do companies go up and down, what makes a good company, how do they become an IPO, what companies make it and why they make it. It really became a fascination for me at a young age. And, I was dead set on becoming broker was what I wanted to become. And, but then the advisor route kind of kicked in as a default.
Yeah, I can appreciate that too. My granddad was an entrepreneur, and I mean, that's the bedrock of it all for sure. Like, taught me so much, and really also showed me that business is like not as much business. If you can kind of remove that whole word from it, it's like your lifestyle, the way you treat the people you work with, all that stuff. So very traditional philosophies about business. Tell us a specific setback or challenge that you faced when you first got in this career and how you really overcame it.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just being broke. Not having money is hard. Not having clients, not having experience. I think the big thing is, you feel like you're not ready to be in that situation. You always feel like you're not ready. Like, I don't know enough. I don't have enough experience. Why would people work with me? What makes me different from anybody else that you could work with? And it's really building that confidence from the beginning, because you have this idea that, why would someone work with me? I barely know what I'm doing. I just got licensed. It doesn't mean that I'm an expert. And so I think that's the biggest thing to overcome, is realizing that you are a benefit to people and that you do know what you're talking about, and you know more than, the average person would. And I think that helped me a lot. Of course, getting mentorship, learning from people, and really just getting that experience. But right off the bat, being broke and no experience is tough.
A little bit of imposter syndrome. Like coming in to tell people how to handle their money, and you're like, I still might have to eat Chipotle for the next 5 days, maybe.
I'm gonna be eating ramen noodles at home.
Yeah. No, I could definitely understand, because I think everyone kind of goes through that at some point, because you finally get the gig, you do all this education to just get to where you're starting, and then when you start, you learn actually about what it looks like, and you kind of realize, I'm maybe ill-prepared is not the right way to say it, but you're not there yet. Yeah. And within your business, right, this is a field that it's very self-sufficient, right? Like, you handle your book of business and you have to be proactive. You have to make things happen within your business. So what are some key values and principles that guide you throughout the decision-making process while you're growing?
I think that, in business, it's like there's two routes you can kind of go. There's the one route where it's like, I'm just here to make money. It's cost of what I put in to what I put out. I just want to make money. Then, go do a laundromat, gas station, whatever it is. Very unsexy business, but they make money. And, there'll be a quick, turnaround for making profits. If you really want to just be a business owner and you're really just thinking about the numbers, there's multiple businesses you could start, low cost, good profits. The other side of business is the passion side. If you really want to start a business and it's a passion project, you have to love it, because you have to just go in expecting that this is what I love to do and this is what I'm willing to do every day if I make money or not. And those are the two routes you can really go, I feel like.
Yeah, it can definitely be hard when, I mean, because I know, like, my granddad, he had a pie company. in Georgia making pies, right? Like if you said someone, if an 18-year-old walked in here right now and was like, guys, I'm going to need a financial advisor for my pie company. Yeah. And he tried to tell you that he was going to have a multi-million-dollar exit one day, you'd probably laugh at him. Yeah. But my granddad loved pie. That was always the thing. And it did work out. I think that's a big thing about passion is if you do pursue it, when it works out, it's that much more triumphant and exciting for you.
And it keeps you motivated. I mean, it's like either you're making money or you're staying motivated. And the passion piece, if it's something that you truly love and you're like, I am not going to do anything else from this, and I don't care how hard it's going to be, this is what I want to do, that is the business that you should do. Or, on the other hand, make a lot of money. It's like, pick your lane, because it's going to be extremely hard if you're in a business and you don't love it and you're having a hard time making money. It's a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose. So it's like either love it to death or do it strictly for money.
And going back to that point I just made about, having to be self-sufficient, right? How do you approach setting goals and fulfilling them, and then also like any maybe productivity hacks you have to really make sure you're getting going when you need to get going in the business?
Yeah, I think routine-wise, I've got a dog, so waking up every morning and going on a walk, like getting outside early in the morning, no one else is out, it's nice and quiet, I get to be with myself, your thoughts. Some days I'll jog, some days I just walk, but being outside to start the day by yourself, technically I'm with my dog, but I think anybody, it's like getting that wake-up call. It's like, hey, I'm getting up, I do this every morning without skipping a beat. And then you kind of get into that routine to start your day. And I feel like going outside for a walk or run, it's like that first accomplishment of the day. Some people like to make their bed, some people like go on a walk, some people work out. Whatever that one thing that's like, I did something today, and now the next, Or if I do nothing else today, I did something, kind of thing.
And my next question is going to be...
Oh, wait, and then the other thing about keeping achievements and stuff, calendar. I believe anybody who wants to start a business or start a practice or anything, you got to live and die by your calendar, because business is extremely chaotic. You got calls, you got people that you meet, everything, you're taking notes, you're trying to keep records, you're reminding yourself to call people back. Always live and die by your calendar, because you're going to forget things. When things are moving around, you're going to forget something, and when you write it down and it's there, and you have a little reminder of like, hey, this is what you got to do at this time, this is why you're doing it, this is what you're doing it's keeping that everything concise. I think you have to live and die by a calendar and keep writing things down on it.
That was a learning curve for me. Yeah. Like learning to use my reminders, having my calendar, having everything written down, because I don't think there's any worse feeling in the world than like missing a meeting. Nothing. Or forgetting to call someone back, or if someone calls you out, that's probably the worst thing ever. Is when you get that text, it's like, hey, I'm on the Zoom, are you still coming? It's like, oh shit, I'm at the gym right now. No way.
Absolutely.
So you got to keep up with that. I definitely agree. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, and also you just feel, you have a lot of anxiety if you don't know what you're doing. You're like, oh, did I have a meeting or did I have something scheduled? It's like that's gonna set you back.
Well, and it gives you confidence, because I've even had times where it's like you're up at night, or you're like trying to sleep and you're thinking about, you might have missed something or something's going wrong. If you have to have that confidence in yourself, and that's where you build it, I think, is through being scheduled, through having these things written out so you know what's going on. And to revisit that conversation about your granddad too, I don't know if you want to bring it up again now, but I wanted to ask you about any role models or people that have had a significant impact on your life and also your experience as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I would say my biggest role models in the world are my parents. I have absolutely the most amazing parents you could ever ask for. And, I could do a whole episode on how amazing my parents are, but, I'll save you guys the time. But, they were just, they motivate me, they talk to me, when I'm down, they bring me back up. They're more of a, they give me a reset. If I call and talk to my dad or my mom, they kind of get me reset. They push me through hard times, and absolutely amazing. I love them, and they're definitely a big part of my motivation. Mentor within my industry. Well, when I first became a broker, I went out on my own and really had no idea what I was doing. I happened to get in touch with the top producer in my office, Don Dameron. And this guy was cool. He was like who I wanted to be. He had the nice car, nice house, had things going, good client, amazing office. And I just wanted to stick to his hip. Called him every day, try to hang around him, try to learn everything from him, because I had no idea what I was doing. I really didn't. And having this guy who had it all figured out was huge. It was like, it showed me like this is where I could be and this is where I want to go. And it's just, let me just stay on his coattails until I figure it out. And I think that was huge, because you want to see it to believe it. When you start out and you only see failure, or you only see hard things, or you only see the setbacks, it will break you. But if you hang around someone who's made it, who's done what you want to do, then you're like, it's possible. This guy's done it.
Being in finance, again, this is like with everything right now, business, the world as we know it, constantly changing, constantly adapting, which means that you always kind of have to be paying attention, making the right moves to take care of your clients and continue to grow your business. So how do you keep an eye out for changes in the business market, changes in the world, to make sure that you're up to speed on everything going on?
I think a big place is LinkedIn. I follow a lot of other advisors in different areas and a lot of people in my industry, and they'll post things and they like to brag about what technologies they're using, and I'll look into what they're using, and it's a pretty big open source platform is LinkedIn. And people are pretty open about sharing what they're doing, how they're doing it, what companies they're using, why they're using them. There's a lot of information where you can get on your competitors and stay competitive with them. But that's definitely the place I would go to find out what's going on, moving and shaking in the industry. But also keeping your ear to the ground, like watching the news. When things change, make sure you stay up to date. It's really just keeping yourself relevant.
Do you use Twitter at all too?
I don't.
It's right. It seems like a lot of people in finance have been going to Twitter. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's for all finance, or obviously like everything like Web3, crypto, NFT based, like that whole market is all Twitter.
Well, yeah, I think they've turned into more of like a conservative and wealthy, user base. So
Yeah.
I could see why finance people would.
Yeah, that second episode of Joe Rogan and Elon Musk just came out, and he asked him why he bought it, and he was like, it was too far. Like you were saying, he called it a electronic application megaphone, where he was like, you had these people in control of one of the biggest social media networks ever, and they could control everything said, stated. So he was like, I felt like it was just an atrocity. It was wrong. Like, that's why I bought it.
You could make a case that he bought one of the most prevalent news organizations out there.
Well, yeah, now everyone's saying that it's decreased in value from like 44 billion to 19 billion, and honestly, I'm like, I think this is all just talk, because Twitter to me is more popular than ever. X now, I guess. Like, I know more people back on Twitter now than I did in the last 5 years.
And I think they also found new users in the whole mix.
Right,
There's
right.
a lot of diehard Elon Musk fans,
Right.
people that love him and love listening to him, love what he has to say. I mean, he's a pretty inspirational person if you look into how he's done things.
Yeah, the people that try to make him out to be like the devil, I'm like, dude, this guy is so far from that. He's like, I don't think you realize he couldn't care less about all of this extra stuff you're talking about. Like, he's genuinely out here trying to solve some of the biggest problems we have.
Yeah. And if he can't find an expert in something, he becomes the expert, which I think is extremely impressive.
I agree. And if you look at him too, so Elon is someone who actually really, he's the type of guy that doesn't have a lot day to day that he says he does, right? He sleeps in the office, he wakes up, works 16, 18 hours a day. That's kind of his methodology. That's how it's, I guess, worked for him. But to really continue to push the envelope and perform your best, I think everyone kind of needs some things that they rely on as like a backbone in the routine. So for you, what habits or routines do you try to implement? I know we talked about the dog walk in the morning, things like that, but what else do you try to focus on to continue to really perform your best?
Like keep a good work-life balance kind of thing, or?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Like maybe a little bit of what do you do outside of work to kind of maintain it, and then also like what do you do to enhance your work life throughout the week?
Yeah, I would say it's going to be impossible to balance it all. You've got to keep relationships close too, but work can be super overwhelming, and it's going to go like a teeter-totter. It's like life could be going good, but your business might go bad. And then business could be going great, but your connections and family and your personal life can be slipping. So it's a teeter-totter. It's going to be, business is going to be priority, family down, or friends, and then switch. But really keeping people that understand what you're trying to accomplish. Like, understanding people are the people you want to keep in your circle, in your corner, people you want to talk to, be around. If they understand that what you're trying to do, the sacrifices you're trying to make, why, you might be distanced for a month or two, and they really like understand that and are, cool with all that, those are the people that you want to surround yourself with, because that's the hard part, is definitely keeping that balance where, yeah, I might be devoted to work for a whole month and I might not talk to very many people. But on the other hand, those people that I do like to talk to, they're okay with that. They're like, we know you grind, we know you work, we know you've got, goals and aspirations to accomplish, and they're understanding.
Right. I think that understanding is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And it usually just starts with a conversation. And that's sadly something most young people aren't really great about. So talking on that topic, what advice would you have for other young professionals getting started in their career?
Get a mentor for sure. I think the biggest thing ever is if you know what field or what you want to do, most of the time someone else is doing something similar. And I would say this to anybody, if you want to be an accountant or start your own practice in accounting or be a lawyer or anything, reach out to lawyers, accountants, reach out to people in your field. Try and find somebody else who's doing something similar and just reach out to them. Now, of course, being in business, maybe you have to have them sign like a non-disclosure or something, or do not steal my, intellectual property or whatever. But, you can you want to be able to collaborate with these people. And if you find other people that are experts already or who have been doing it, that way you don't have to carry the ball all the way. They might be able to help you, pick it up and move it. So big thing is reaching out. LinkedIn, you can go on LinkedIn, find, type in a field, and all these people will pop up. And you can even probably find people in your own, geographic area that, might be able to go out on a coffee thing. But that's really you going out and searching. But I think that's number one, huge. And people will talk to you. You would be surprised. If you, reach out to someone on LinkedIn, you're like, hey, I'm really interested in the field that you're in, or I'm really interested in the company that you work with or something. Most of the time, they'll hear you out. Maybe they'll get a phone call. Maybe they'll message you back. They might answer a couple questions. But any of that could be, very useful for someone starting out.
Well, and one thing I've learned that I always share with people is most adults, people ahead of you, when I say adults, right, like people who are deep in their careers, all they want to see is someone doing something. The bar isn't massively high at the moment in time. If you can have a passion or something that you're working towards and you can convey that to this mentor or someone that you're looking to maybe pick their brain a little bit, I would argue that 9 times out of 10, they're going to make something happen, whether it's a 2-3 minute meeting or they get coffee with you once a week. They just have to sense that hunger, that desire within you, because they probably don't get that all the time. There's just not a ton of people that are really dying about it right now. So just have to chase.
And I don't know about you, but it's also interesting when you meet someone who shares the same kind of struggles and day-to-day routines and, are in the same industry where you can bring up kind of war stories of, your own business. It feels good. Because, you come home and, you might have a wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever it is, and you come back to them and, they have no idea what you're talking about. You could, tell them all about your day, but they really kind of like in bits and pieces and like, oh, good for you. It's more of a one-sided conversation that you're having. When you find somebody who really knows about your business and shares a very similar experience in that business, it is an amazing conversation you can have. You could really dive in and talk about, battle scars and things.
That grit that you're building in the process. And that leads me to my last question I have for you. I wanted to ask what grit means to you.
I think grit means being able to push through facing, adversity. If everything can go the wrong way and everything can go going bad, but you still, stick to your guns and you keep going forward. Even when no one else is there to support you. No one else is telling you you're doing a good job. No one else is here to, watch you grind all night long, and no one's there, making sure that you're doing things. You don't need someone to be accountable. You're accountable to yourself, and that's grit. It's like, I'm doing this because this is what I want to do, and no matter who or what tries to deter me, I'm going to keep going. And that's what I think grit is all about.
Cool, cool. Well, Paul, appreciate you setting this up. Paul and I had met, and Paul was really spearheading this whole thing that made it possible for us to get in the office today. So, Paul, thank you again for making it work. I'll be sure to add your information out there so anyone can get in touch with you. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to leave a comment. Tell us something you enjoyed about Paul's story or took away from this conversation. Share it with someone you think it would resonate with or impact. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to the Grit.org YouTube channel. See you next time.